Hello, welcome to part 3 on healing autism, reversing autism. But before I speak of healing, reversing autism, I want to mention something I forgot in the previous episode regarding chelation. We know most children on the spectrum have very high levels of heavy metals such as mercury, lead, often arsenic and antimonium. And for that, very often, chelation is recommended with ALA. At times, this gives results. Often, though, the results are limited. And the reason for that is that in the neurotypical child, the bacterial balance has not been affected as much as in a child on the spectrum. I contend that most of the chelation that occurs in the body happens via bacteria. Bacteria is part of our body, as I explained in part 2. And actually, bacteria is what processes mostly the heavy metal. This is a process that is seen in nature as well. For example, the BP black tie in the Gulf of Mexico was limited. The damage was limited because the Gulf of Mexico is replete with oil-eating bacteria. On the other hand, the black tide in Prince William Sound in Alaska took a very long time to be absorbed because the sound does not contain much oil-eating bacteria. The very same phenomenon is seen in mines that contain mercury. There are mercury processing bacteria. So the same happens in our body. This is what I contend. We don't know what specific bacteria do this in our body because out of the tens of thousands of colonies that inhabit our bodies, we only know 2% at best. Swabs in the New York City subway come back with a whopping 0.02% known. Isn't that unbelievable? So when we don't know this much, and yet this activity makes up 50% of our cellular body activity, then we are in very deep trouble. Because I stated in part 2, the whole edifice of modern medicine is trying to achieve health through either killing or changing a biochemical process that is mistakenly based on the idea that it is a haphazard process rather than one based on resonance and electromagnetic signature. It is not. Modern medicine believes all these molecules getting together is absolutely haphazard. There is no intelligence. Thinking that way is absolutely unsustainable. This is why the results of medicines are unsustainable, and that's why you have to keep on taking medicine, because we have to solidly interfere. Okay? So, we have seen, albeit in a nutshell, that we are all made from the source field. We all come from this. Everything in nature is of this source field. And that has diversified into the many. Within the universe, the multitude of galaxies and solar systems and all. But when we bring this closer to us on Earth, Diversity also holds true in animals, including bacteria, also in plants, in minerals, as well as ourselves, as we are all part of the source field. There is nothing else outside of that. The way matter aggregates is only a matter of gravity. So, now we will see how diversity and how a remedy that is a specific electromagnetic signature. Since we are a wave, we have an electromagnetic signature. Since everything has a wave, it has an electromagnetic signature. And that magnetic signature can unlock or free an individual of an illness. This is the system I wish to point out to you. The alternative to biochemical. So, in the case of these, we will see cases in terms of autism at the end of this video. As the source field differentiates into individual minerals, animals, plants, it creates a different energy. Evidently, a cactus has a different signature than a pine tree, or a moss, or an algae. A dolphin has a different signature from a lion. In other words, not only do we look different, but they also resonate differently. Very basically, for the most part, a dolphin is perceived as a nice animal, whereas a lion is not. They have a different behavior. They have a different resonance. Gold has a different resonance from lead, and we can go on and on and on that way. Everything that surrounds us has an electromagnetic signature. And when we are ill, our own resonance changes as well. We actually become less of ourselves and increasingly become more and more of the disease. And in that process, one becomes more and more like something that already exists, something with an electromagnetic signature that already exists. And this is why I ask so many questions, because the point of a homeopathic remedy is to track back and find as accurately as possible what our illness is like. In other words, what kind of electromagnetic signature it is. Then when we match the expression of the illness, all of the symptoms of it, that is the expression of the illness, to the electromagnetic signature of a substance, that is the most effective way to get rid of a disease, because it is not trying to manipulate either biological process, like for example, people who advocate cannabis for all patients. That is only an attempt at manipulating the biochemical process. That is why it is so short-lived. But what a homeopathy does is go to the confluence of the electromagnetic signature of the disease. So let's take one or two examples from my book, two cases from One Heart, One Mind, that illustrates this. The first case is a case of hydrogen. The first element, the closest element, if you will, to the source field. And this patient, the mother, related that she feels very much like a saint. There is something very saintly about her. And that was, in essence, out of 3 hours of consultation, that was the essence of the case. I gave hydrogen, an element, but the first element, the most abundant element in the universe, because it had this saintly quality. And if you look, this is case 14 in the book, and the reversal was very fast, very, very, very beautiful. Okay. On the other hand, if you take case 3 in the book, I give a remedy where the original substance was scorpion. Okay? And this is one of the first things the mother said. He is mean and disrespectful. It is what I would call bad content. Horror. And so my next question was, talk to me about horror. It is like the devil. He is 100% inappropriate. Horrible content. From then on, 3 hours of consultation. In the end, I gave scorpion. Hardly like hydrogen. I picked these 2 cases just to be very oppositional, if you will, because everything has a signature. Every case of autism, every case of PANDAS has a signature. And if we can track back to it, find what this signature is, we can give a remedy, and that remedy will cancel out the illness. And then the child will be free of it. Thank you for listening to these 3 videos. I will make more. I had many different thoughts while doing them. I understand they're rather succinct. They skip over a whole lot of things. But I do believe these 3 videos give a good perspective on what we do, why we do it, and hopefully show a different way of coming to healing and freeing the children of autism. Thank you very much for listening. Feel free to send questions. I will be more than happy to answer them. Bye-bye.